we're going to put you on hold now, Honorable, but we'll ask you to hold the line while we'll talk to some of our guests here in the studio. Professor Akpan-Obong, you've listened to him, you've heard him. I'm very concerned as to the reception of Nigerians to this card reader, if it's going to be deployed again in the gubernatorial elections, considering that it's not, in some areas, it wasn't very efficient. Do you think that those people will be willing to trust the system enough, or they'll just say, since this is what we did in our area here, there's no point going back to it?
I think they should be able to trust it. Like somebody pointed out, Nigerians are used to, at least Nigerians who have a bank account, they're used to using the ATM or using a POS when they purchase things. So it's a learning process. I think they will be willing to try, and if it doesn't work, there's always the manual process as backup. And I would really encourage INEC to go ahead and use the card readers for the state elections coming up in 2 weeks, and hopefully correct some of the problems they had yesterday. Some of those problems, as we have heard on this panel, were human errors, some officials not knowing how to work the thing, and there was a thing about the cellophane film in front that they needed to remove before the thing worked. And in another situation, I think they had to change the SIM card or just wash fingers properly. So I think there's a potential for that system to continue to perfect itself and to be used again for the state elections. I think Nigerians will be willing to try again.
Oh, I think that the jury will be out on that one. But Mr. Ogumadu, do you agree with her?
Very, very well. The issue would be, why was it introduced in the first place? What mischief was it meant to correct? And what has it already achieved? I'll give you an example. If you cast your mind back to the stories we had about a month before this election, we had stories about the massive purchase of PVCs in the East, and how in less than 2 weeks, those PVCs were beginning to be returned to the owners. Why was this? It was clearly because those who purchased, thinking that the traditional conventional rigging would be perpetrated that way, sooner than they knew it, realized that it was not going to be useful. So, to a very large extent, the essence of introduction of these cabinets, coming on the heels of the PVCs and then the TVCs, was to increase and guarantee the integrity of this process. Are there prospects that this can be achieved? Certainly there are, because even from the standpoint of those who perpetrate the electoral malfeasance, you could find that on their own volition, they have found that they needed to be much more creative, at least be, 1 or 2 steps ahead of INEC to be able to utilize the old traditional means that they have perfected. So in my humble view, it is that we have graduated, and all thanks to this present INEC, from TVCs to PVCs, and then card readers.
Well, Malik, we'll come back to you, and let's quickly wrap this up with Honorable SMA Ibo. Well, the thing here is the hope and the faith you have in this particular process, talking about national consciousness, which is very, very key here. I want us to talk more on that, because basically, you are ECET now, and the awareness program we've seen so far from all institutions, in this case now the electoral umpire, as well as the political parties. We have always maintained that it would seem that the political parties haven't actually done enough in the area of sensitization, educating voters, and even the electorate. What have you got to say on that?
Well, I can tell you clearly that we can now talk about the issue of the leadership recruitment process. Because of the leadership recruitment process in relation to the political parties as presently constituted, we now have the weakness of the nexus between the people and the political party managers. And that is why, in most cases, the political education of the citizens are at the lowest ebb. But be that as it may, the present scenario has presented itself to the extent that the citizens have decided to take upon themselves the responsibilities of buying into the process and making sure that it works for the purpose of Nigeria. I am a card-carrying member of a political party. But at the end of the day, the first question I'm asking myself is, there has been an NPN, UPN before, there has been NCPN, PRP before, there has been various political parties going through the evolution of political evolution in this country. So PDP, APC, Labour, and ABGA is not going to be the last. But there has always been Nigeria, and there must be Nigeria. And because of this affirmation, myself and I want to believe majority of Nigerians have taken upon themselves the responsibility of educating themselves on what will work and not what went wrong. What will work and what will work and not what went wrong. So I am thinking that the present level of education now, I must thank the media. If you also reflect to your conscience, channel, for example, and any other multimedia platform, you realize that you have also raised your game because of that consciousness that there has to be a Nigeria first before the political party. And Nigeria cannot become a citizen of enemy anymore. Nigeria cannot turn around again in a committee of nations to be a country that has constituted itself into a monument of self-pity, while the rest of the countries of the world are moving. This issue of the card readers we are talking about, even in American elections, you had hiccups here and there, despite the sophistication in technology. So our own cannot be different. And we are not going to subject ourselves to a situation where some empire-seeking persons, people who are looking for Nigeria as a franchise for them to take over, now want to use a political process to do any of these things to impoverish Nigeria. That is not going to be acceptable. I can tell you a situation yesterday, how a policeman breached indiscretion. You know, and at the end of the day yesterday, he came up and he saw that the mood, ordinary some years ago, Nigerians, there would have been a chaos. There would have been a civil unrest. But the policeman came up and apologized that he had been an indiscretion on his own part. And at the end of the day, everybody shook hands and all that, and the system went on. That is the Nigeria I want to see. Nigeria of endurance, Nigeria of national consciousness, Nigeria of determination that it will work.
Well, Honorable Ivo, I cannot but share your optimism, and I know that a lot of Nigerians share your optimism. And much as we do not want to focus on what went wrong, we definitely must make improvements for the elections, especially for the ones coming in less than 2 weeks. What improvements would you like INEC to make for the gubernatorial elections coming up in less than 2 weeks?
What I'm saying is that if the response of INEC and other institutions of government were to be as prompt as what I witnessed yesterday and today, that is the envelope of what I'm trying to put across. If the response of INEC and other institutions of government involved in the process were to be as apt as what I saw yesterday and today, I can tell you that we are in for a better day.
Well, Honorable SMA, I would like to thank you so very much for speaking with us all the way from Eket in Akpan-Obong State. And well, we have to go now. I'm sorry, apologies, but we thank you so immensely for speaking with us on Nigeria 2015. In the course of the program, we'll get back to you to talk more on the elections. And as Mark rightly asked, 2 weeks from today, we'll be going to the polls again for the governorship elections and as well as the state assemblies.